Okay. Welcome to our regular meeting of council, live streamed electronically, Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. Our opening of our meeting is our land acknowledgement. The council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that the sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located, this meeting is being held, is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. And we'll have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that the regular meeting of council agenda dated November 7th, 2023 be approved as amended, the state to remove the Hunt Road closing bylaw and move items 8B, E, G, H, Q, V from information to action, and to add Sturgis Road as a verbal report of municipal officers.
Yep. Thank you, Chair. So we're just removing the bylaw from the council meeting. The report is on COW and the bylaw is to come back to the 21st. I just got trigger happy and put it on this meeting. So just so everybody knows, the report is on the agenda. It's just the bylaw will be passed at the next meeting.
All in favor? That's carried. So at this point, any disclosure of interest now or during the meeting? So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abbas that the minutes of the regular meeting of council dated October 17th, 2023 be approved as presented. All in favor? That's carried. Business arising from our previous minutes? Okay. So delegations and deputations, we have none. Our report of municipal officers, our deputy clerk, Grace Francis, on Citizen of the Year, please.
I'm just gonna sit here tonight. There's no point in me moving 3 steps away. Before you is the Citizen of the Year award report. There is a plaque currently sitting at Rosedale Hall that's entitled Montague Citizen of the Year. The first noted citizen was Don Giff in 1977, and various winners went right up until 1996, with the Fire Association being the last recipient of the award. There has not been one since. So staff believe that it's in the best interest of the municipality to kind of get this award back up and going, recognize members of the community where we can. Lanark County has annual awards of excellence. Smith Falls, City of Ottawa, Carleton Place, like most neighboring municipalities, also have similar awards. So again, Montague just might as well get back on that bandwagon, if you will. There's a few options in front of council tonight to kind of choose what they would like to go with, as well as a potential nomination form should council proceed with reinstating the award.
I'll open it up for any comment.
That's a great idea. Myself drinking.
Any preference on which option, one or two?
So option 1 is basically to reinstate it this year. It'd be a quick turnaround to get it out, get it back to our next meeting, to invite the people, the recipient, to our Christmas dinner, if they aren't already on our Christmas dinner list for volunteer and staff appreciation. Option 2 would be to reinstate it next year for the 2024 year and move forward from there.
I'll do it right away. In my opinion.
I think if we can get it going and effectively, I wouldn't see a problem with it. And if we come to the conclusion, hey, it's not working, then we can always go with option B, move it till next year.
Yeah, if we don't get anybody bringing anything to us in time, we can always accommodate for 2024.
So I was thinking myself 2024, only because there's no paper for it, so it's to try and get it out to the community now, because you want it for our appreciation night. So it's a little on the tight turnaround for this year to ensure that it does get through the community. I mean, some people do follow the township page and things and follow the website, but because of the fact that we don't have that access to the paper to get it out, to have any type of turnaround, I personally was thinking of 2024, but I'm up to whatever council decides.
we're looking for people to nominate and, the staff is gonna go through it and pick and choose, or, cause like, what if you get 20 of them and like, are we looking for second people, like names to kind of come up a couple of times, or what are you looking for?
So Chair, through you, we would bring something to an in-camera, just so that it's kind of a surprise for the
Mhm.
people. It's not to hide from the public. It would be made public. So we would bring it to council to make that decision. So I think that council then would have that decision. If you have 5 people, the same person nominated by 5 different people, you may choose that person, seeing that they were nominated 5 times, right? So, we would bring it to council with those nominations.
In that case, it might be a little rush to try and do it for this year.
That might be a bit.
Because I've got months
That's it.
approximately, so no sense doing something we can't do it right. But maybe go ahead with it and put it in that we can start for next
For
year,
next year.
would be my opinion.
And, cause we could get it out with the newsletter. Say the second one that was out.
Yeah.
And at least the public have time to see it and,
That's all.
yeah,
It's not rushed, it's rolled out.
that's right.
Let's roll this out to say, we want to reintroduce to something
Yeah.
else. And
Yep.
one of my questions would be, is it need to be a resident of Montague, or a resident or a person that has done good things for or in Montague?
So that's up to council. Right now, the wording is, a resident of the municipality. So that would be up to council if you choose to change it to a person who has contributed.
So I like that idea, because I mean, obviously, I think the vast majority of the time, we would be recognizing, we'd be looking at people that have done things, because that's what happens, but we do have people that don't live in Montague, and I can think of a couple of people that do like some garbage cleanup stuff, and they do a lot of nice things on our roads for us as they go for walks, and they're not residents of Montague, but they do basically are helping to clean up the area, so.
I can also think of some that come out and volunteer their time for multiple functions and are not on a committee or a resident either, but enjoy the township and coming out and helping. So I agree, that would be something that we could look at changing as
It's about
well.
making that volunteer that makes Montague, just a better place. Yeah, I think that would be good. But let's not rush it. Yeah, like, I mean, we haven't done this since like 96.
Yeah.
I think we've recognized people in the past of contributions in 96. I feel like we did in our last year council too,
But maybe not formal.
not a citizen
Yeah,
of the year,
no,
exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be nice, but I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, so like, there's like, let's do this right,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah.
So,
Okay, so we'll make that slight adjustment, that doesn't just have to be a resident, that it can be any person who contributes to the betterment of the township. And, we will put that forward in 2024 with substantial time for people to nominate, and then for it to come to council, they get the proper invitation, all those things.
yeah,
And we can advertise it too as well, like recognize your name, or recognize the
Yeah,
person who
absolutely.
goes, sit down it, and we can put it out
Yeah.
there, and it makes it more.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
That's nice, great for bringing that forward, because that's another great thing to do for our township.
so moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Deputy Reed Carroll, that council direct staff to proceed with option 2 for the annual Citizen of Your Ward and nomination process. All in favor? And that's carried. Next is our clerk administrator, acting treasurer, appointment of the treasurer. Oh, sorry, missed the top. Clerk administrator, acting treasurer, vaccination policy rescind request by council.
Thank you, Chair. So this did come before the previous council to rescind the vaccination policy, the COVID-19 vaccination policy. At this point in time, I believe most, or if not all municipalities, the WHO has downgraded the pandemic. So we're bringing forward to repeal or rescind our bylaw for the COVID-19 vaccination policy, obviously upon another situation like this, we would bring forward something to council again, but at this time, it's not a declared global emergency.
Any discussion? No, okay, so moved by Deputy Reed Carroll, seconded by Councillor Abbas, that council rescind bylaw 3864 2021, being a bylaw to adopt a COVID-19 vaccination policy. All in favor? And that's carried. Now we'll try the clerk administrator, acting treasurer, appointment of a treasurer.
Thank you, Chair. So this, report is coming in front of you. The clerk administrator was hired in March of 2022. The treasurer gave notice of resignation effective May 6th, so prior to even my start date. So since that time, I've been the acting treasurer, so it's been about 15 months or whatever the case is. We were short-staffed up until July of this year, so we didn't fill the treasury position. We tried to fill a deputy treasurer, we were unsuccessful. We filled a deputy clerk position. She's off on that leave. We now have Grace filling deputy clerk as well. So this report is really coming forward to council. Based on the current workload, I don't see any issues with taking on the full-time treasurer position as well. It's really up to council. There's a couple of options. There's been substantial savings, and there will continue to be about $40,000 to $50,000 a year if I continue to take the role of the treasurer. So option one is to appoint by bylaw to a treasurer position. Do not appoint, and we can discuss in camera, or council can discuss in camera any performance issues, or not moving in that direction. And then option three is just remain status quo as an acting treasurer.
Okay, so I can open it up for any discussion.
I guess it's one question, not to dive too deep into it, but as far as the compensation side, we're to keep the current compensation that you were doing with the acting treasurer role.
So that's my compensation right now on the grid.
Yeah,
There's
there was-
no,
well, I thought we had this, there was a discussion because you were doing that role as far as
as soon as the deputy clerk was hired, that was removed.
that was removed.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're good with that then, okay, all right.
That would be an in-camera discussion.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to get into it, that's why I don't want to get into this.
Yeah.
So that's why I'd say,
Yeah, so, but currently, like, as far as the scoring, unless it gets rescored, the salary grid is public as to
public, yeah,
where that
exactly.
sits
Yeah,
for the clerk administrator.
okay,
So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that council direct staff to proceed with option one as presented on the appointment of the acting treasurer to the treasurer position at the meeting held November 7th, 2023. All in favor? And that's carried. Next is our clerk administrator, acting treasurer, grant application generator.
Thank you, Chair. So there is a grant that has become available, I believe we were notified last week by John Jordan's office, from Emergency Management Ontario in relation to preparing, ourselves further for emergencies. So the grant is, an application for $5,000 to $50,000. And at this time, staff is bringing forward the replacement of the diesel generator that's in the Public Works garage. So the generator's old, it's been tagged by TSSA, so it can't be filled. And the work that's required on it is substantial to meet the TSSA regulations. So we have documentation on that. Keeping in mind that if that building is taken down, that generator will also need to be moved, we'll need to accommodate it, all those good things. We'll be without any kind of backup while that's happening. So what we're recommending is that we proceed with an application on a generator that's gonna feed this building. So we would go out back, feed this building. The current generator would feed that building until it came down. And then when the new building came up, we would feed that building with this generator as well. The only thing that we're looking at, is that it's about an 18-week lead time on that size of a generator is what I was notified, from a supplier. And that's if everything goes well. So the time to implement, if we were successful on this grant application, is very minimal. So it would be a very tight time frame. Our recommendation is that we proceed and approve to order the generator by February, no matter what, to prepare ourselves for any kind of transition. And we have to do something with our old generator. We're not gonna recommend to put $30,000 into an old generator and not get one that starts on its own, because we have to manually start that and all those good things too. To go ahead and approve that we could use, order it, and if we have to use reserves, we have been putting aside $20,000 a year for the admin building, which this year we got to upgrade flooring, windows and doors all with a grant. So we did not use our reserve funds for any of that. That we could use some of those reserves to offset the cost of that generator if we're not successful. But I think that we need to be proactive and forward thinking that in all of this transition, if we have an emergency, this is our EOC, this is where people come, this is where we do business. And during emergencies, the main thing that they always say is that you have to be able to still provide that service to the community. That's what keeps them calm, is that they can still call us, hear from us, those type of things. So we're recommending that we apply for the generator, but that council is going to go ahead and approve us to order it. And if we're not successful, we will fund it through our admin reserve.
I got a question. You're talking about putting a generator here that's gonna do this and the other building. Why would you not just put one here and then when the new building, if the building goes ahead, put a brand new one over there? That way, if this generator goes down, we're not losing both spots.
So we could, the thing is that the site plan is very tight over there for what we need to put in place with having the bay doors that are drive-throughs,
Okay.
right? And then parking. So we could potentially do that, Jim. It'll be another 50, 60. I mean, if council wishes to,
Well, it wouldn't be as-
I
it wouldn't be-
agree.
It wouldn't be as big a generator. going there.
Right,
You
you're
would
saying
need
that a
bigger one
smaller.
Here, go for a smaller one here. And go for a
Basically
smaller
go for
one
a
here.
large Generac.
That would be covered no matter
That's
what.
right, then if something like down here or there, we'd be, it's just a suggestion I'm throwing out.
And it's a great idea. And you know, maybe it's one of those things that we could say, okay, so we're not successful in this, we would keep applying for one to be successful for that,
And it's still.
right? That we could then do that.
Small.
Because the intent would be with a newer building, having showers and all those things over there, that during an emergency, we'd be able to provide that service to people to use the showers and those type of things. So, but I think that for that, that would be a great one to really try and get a grant for, to get that second alternate unit. If we're not successful in this one.
Is this one that it has to sit inside or is it one that can be outside?
The one that we're talking about purchasing,
Yeah.
it would sit outside just like
Yeah.
Rosedale.
So it's okay, it's an outside,
Yeah.
outside like that.
Yeah.
The one they're talking about is more like one of the ones that sits outside Tim Hortons. You're talking about much larger.
So right now, the one that we have in the shop is way oversized. It's 100 kilowatt.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a great big Cat diesel engine. Which we will have value from that Cat engine. Somebody will purchase that generator. But the one out back, I believe, my understanding is like a 60 kilowatt should be more than enough for this building as well. That's what's at Rosedale. So that's kind of what we're looking at for here, as well.
I just would hate to see us spend a whole lot of money and put one in, whether it's here or there, and then backfeed it, and then something go wrong, we got both buildings down, because it shouldn't. I mean, I've had a generator in my house now, touch wood, for 10 years, and I've had no problems, but there's always the chance, and if something's gonna let go, it's gonna let go right when you want it.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, if it was priced or could see, I'd like to see one in each myself.
Similar value, but then you got two separate motors.
Yeah, and as they say, it'll be smaller, two smaller units, you wouldn't need quite as big a unit when you want.
Right.
So where you were getting it from, if you told them, maybe we can get a price on just this building,
Mhm.
and then when we move on to the next one, or we have to fix this one, or not fix it, but I mean, put one here. We'll put a separate one in, just to get a quote on that,
Mhm.
If we put the bigger one in here.
Yeah.
And like, we're hopefully successful, it's nice to hear, I mean, kudos to John Jordan's office for setting that over to as well, like to say, hey, like, we should probably go after that, would be great. I mean, that we would necessarily, if we get another one, maybe a lot smaller one as a backup to that backup.
could go that
Could be
way.
the other way
The
too.
only thing is you're gonna use a lot more fuel, the larger you go, the more fuel you use. Even in a house, some people, you don't need to put a great big one in if you're only got, because the fuels will cost when you do use it. But it's a good idea, you could go bigger here and have it here, and then if you need to, you could do it, but
Hopefully we never need to use them, right? That's the ideal situation, but yeah, like you say, you wouldn't want it to fail if that's when tragedy does happen.
And we do use them every time the power goes out, right? Like we have to start it up. So,
that's a good start.
and that's the other thing is that it is it is nice with the Generacs that they automatically boot up on their own and they start up once a week on their own and, all those things. So, I guess for us, it's that, again, it's recommendation. I guess if we can get the funding, it's great, but are we looking then at going smaller or getting the one that potentially would feed both? And then if we can get another grant at some time, we put a smaller unit there and just have the bigger unit feed here.
To me, it just depends what we do get for grant, like if we're gonna spend $60,000 and they come back and say they're gonna give you 5,000. I think we've kind of wasted some money then to put one big one in.
So the biggest thing is with the generators that the bigger generators have the longer lead times because they don't stop them, obviously. And that's where we're saying is that we're gonna have to order it before we find out about the grant probably. Unless they tell us at the beginning of February that yes, you're successful or no, you're not. We're gonna need to get that order to meet the deadline to have it completed. That's where we're at with the conundrum.
And the likelihood of us getting that grant is 50/50, 70, who knows, right?
We have no
Yeah,
idea.
they don't tell you.
Like, I would assume that Northern Ontario is more likely to receive these grants than we will be.
Yeah.
But
We might receive something, but it might not be as much as.
So who knows, then,
you don't know. So,
I mean, it is prudent to have the appropriate generator, because we're moving towards that building, right? And it's nice to have one, and
We have to move towards those buildings.
yeah.
So,
and a generator is necessary.
Yeah.
Like it's,
Yeah.
we have to have it.
The only thing is if we don't have a chance of. If you're not thinking the chance is good to get any money or very little money, we might be better just decide one for this building. And if we're gonna put another building, even if we have to, I mean, that's what I say when someone builds a house that's worth $700,000, what are they worried about 15,000 per generator when they're doing it? You gotta, that's just something that's a necessity you have to do it at the time. But maybe we can do this with a generator, we'll do a fine job for here for 40,000. Then if we don't get anything, we've just spent 40,000, we've got 20,000 that we put towards the other.
I guess the biggest thing is what's the pricing? Yeah, I guess you alluded to that.
Yeah, that's,
Like,
yeah,
like-
I do house generators all the time, so I'm just trying to
Yeah,
figure out.
so the
Yeah.
big generator that we put in over there was 43.
Which would be the same one that you're talking about
Yeah.
to run both of these
Yeah.
buildings.
Yeah, so it would be 43. Now keep in mind that the grant application is up to 50. So if you guys decide to get us to power one that's just gonna power this building and that you're gonna commit to putting one over, because that building will need a generator. That, well then, if, let's say it's 35,000, then we're also gonna put in some other, into that grant, we're going to apply for a generator. And probably some, like, the road signs that light up, what do you call them, Steve, the electronic road signs? Yeah, so we're probably gonna apply for some of those during emergencies that are like for road closures and all those things that are a lot easier and more visible and things like that. So, so we're probably gonna bump that grant up to more than just a generator.
So you're saying it's 40,000, I thought a minute ago we were talking to $60,000 for the generator.
I said a 60 kilowatt, $43,000.
So it's 43,000, okay, that's a lot different.
Mhm.
And currently you have still have roughly $20,000 from last year's money that you didn't use.
Every year, you guys,
Yeah.
for the last several years, you've been putting 20,000.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So right now you have 20,000 from last year.
It's been for the last several years, it hasn't been used.
Yeah.
So-
So realistically, the money's
There's,
sitting
Money's
there for the 43,000. So this is a kind of a moot conversation. I would say go for it. It's already sitting there. Hopefully, let's do one of these and hope that we get some funding, even if it's 5,000, 8,000, 10,000. You're now safe for here, you're safe for there, and then later on, if we need to get another 20,000 kilowatt one as a backup for the backup to the backup, then we can look at that.
And when you say the 43,000, that was the wiring needed and everything all combined, so.
Is it there?
And that's the thing, so like you're saying like a smaller one would be like a 40 kilowatt one, like if you were to put on this side, what would that cost? Like-
generally speaking, especially when you do the house ones, there's very little difference.
I mean, like-
It's only a few $1,000s.
So what's the point of putting a 41 in? Like, what's
Yeah.
the put a 60 in, it's gonna cost 43 or
And
it's
if
gonna
you
cost.
need buildings on the
39.
outside anyways, and
So
so
we might as well stick with that one, then we got, and we look at the second one, we do that anyway.
I just
so.
think at that time, then have one separate.
Then it opens it up to allow us the time to try and apply for grants and wait for that funding for a back, like, for that building.
Yeah, if we didn't have it in right away, but we got it.
We can
over
tie it
the
in.
course of it, of that, then it would be a great backup to the backup, so.
So we're in agreement for option one. Okay, so moved by Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Deputy Carroll, that council direct the clerk administrator to proceed with receiving quotes for a new generator at the municipal complex and bring back a report to council to approve the use of reserves, to proceed with the ordering of the generator by February 2024, whether successful or not in the grant application, to ensure that there is no time at the offices without backup when the old garage is disposed of and the new building is erected. And that council direct the clerk administrator to apply for a generator at 6547 Roger Stevens Drive for the Community Emergency Preparedness Grant. All in favor? And that's carried. Votes of committee. Committee full. Moved by Councillor Abbas. Seconded by Deputy Reed Carroll, that council approve the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of October 17th, 2023, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Deputy Reed Carroll, seconded by Councillor Abbas, that council approve the minutes of the Montague Recreation and Culture Committee meeting of September 28th, 2023, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Abbas, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that council accept the Merrickville Library Board minutes from September 2023 as information. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Councillor Abbas, that council accept the Merrickville Library Board minutes from their special meeting of October 2023 as information. All in favor? That's carried. We have no petitions, and our first bylaw is our recreation agreement with Smith Falls. Moved by Councillor Abbas, seconded by Deputy Reed Carroll, that bylaw 4019-2023, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement between the Township of Montague and the Town of Smith Falls for recreational services, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 7th day of November 2023. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Deputy Reed Carroll, seconded by Councillor Abbas, that bylaw 4020-2023, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement between the Township of Montague and the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority for Category 3 services, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 7th day of November 2023.
Sorry, I just wanted, there was a point of clarification. I double check with Ali about that too as well, about to make sure there was no misunderstanding about the category 3. So the category 3 is still from our original levy. It is not an extra part. That's part of that. It's just, this is just the change in the rules that the Ontario government did. So it's just from the original levy. It's just spending a portion of that for the category 3.
We're not offering more.
We're not, it's not more. So I just want to make sure that was clarified. There's some confusion from that before, so.
Okay. So moved by Deputy Reed Carroll, seconded by Councillor Abbas, that bylaw 4020-2023, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement between the Township of Montague and the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority for Category 3 services, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 7th day of November 2023. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that bylaw 4021-2023, being a bylaw to rescind bylaw 3863-2021 and a bylaw to establish a policy for the procurement of goods and services for the Township of Montague, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 7th day of November 2023. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abbas, that bylaw 4022-2023, being a bylaw to appoint a treasurer for the Township of Montague, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this 7th day of November 2023. All in favor? And that's carried. By Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Deputy Reed Carroll, that bylaw 4023-2023, being a bylaw to designate Montague Township as a site plan control area, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 7th day of November 2023. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Deputy Ruth Carroll and seconded by Councillor Abbas, that bylaw 4024/2023, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a development agreement with Brian James Pratt and Catherine Lynn Pratt, the owners of lands legally described as part of Lot 4, Concession 5, Township of Montague, County of Lanark, designated as parts 1 to 4 on 27R 12101, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 7th day of November 2023. All in favor? Carried. So we have no notice and no motion or notice of motion, and under correspondence, our first item moved forward is 8B. So
I didn't move forward, it's obviously, let's say B is the complaints.
Yeah.
On Bayview, so we just want to make sure we bring it forward. Not much to discuss, but more for staff to have a quick look. And, I guess bring back some information to see if there's more we can do to make sure that we're, having our bylaws abided by on the road.
okay. 8E, 2024 allocation notice.
I just brought that up, Ali, I don't know if you want to touch on it, I mean, it's basically, we're pretty close to what we received this previous year. Or a little bit lower than, is that right or no?
Mhm.
A little bit lower, right? A little
Yeah.
bit lower, how much lower was it than,
So share through you. So we're $3,500 less, so 1.11% reduction in our OMPF. Last year we were an $18,000 reduction from 2022, so for this year. So it was less of a reduction, but we're gonna continue to see that with the OMPF funding because the province provided that modernization funding for municipalities to work towards being more efficient and reducing the amount of money that they will provide them on an annual basis.
so I bring that up to as well, it's another one of those parts as we've seen, especially in the last like 15 years of the massive reduction of money that's coming down from the province. As far as to help support the municipalities, so I mean, we're getting something, but it's obviously is still a reduction, and we still have the same services we need to provide, and we all know that the costs of everything are going up exponentially, so as we really work hard to manage our budgets. It'd be nice to obviously have a little bit, the funding go the other way with the way that the costs are going, but anyways, bring that up, if there's something coming, but not as much, but it'd be nice to have.
So with that, Montague has seen a reduction from the province since 2010 and 47% reduction in the OMPF funding. So it has a substantial impact on the tax rate when you have big cuts like that from the province.
And we've seen OPP costs go up, we've seen like the other costs, go up as it goes the other way, so it's been anyways. Thanks, Valley, for that extra piece.
Next is the Lanark County media release.
I brought these up, I think maybe a little premature last week, when I talked about the youth centers one, and I talked about that, and so I just not gonna talk about it again, but more just to bring them up again, that this the media releases, and it's nice to make sure that we have them there, and the other one was the social services one. Yeah, so that's kind of neat that it's just Lanark County's social service celebration of 50 years. There was an event that they just had. So I think it was pretty good. But anyways, it's just another one that it's to recognize that that's what's going to be done in the county is all the social services stuff. So and we post those on our media too as well to make sure that people are aware of that. So.
Our last is our municipality of North Perth. Catch and Release Justice in Ontario.
So I combine those ones in there. I like these ones coming back. So the catch and release, a lot of it is trying to push back on our upper governments to keep our repeat offenders in jail. So we're not letting them out, and it's a frustrating process for the police officers, obviously, as they go back and they have to re-catch them. And we all remember the shutdowns we've had, the lockdowns we had, and the searches we had as those were all looking for repeat offenders that probably shouldn't have been out anyways. And the amount of money that was spent and wasted in time, the fear that was put in the community, as they go through that process again to try to find those people, to me is hurting our communities. And I commend the municipalities, and I think it'd be great if we partner along with that, because the latest one affected our community within the last month. So I think it's good for us to support stuff like that hopefully keeps these people that are causing this havoc behind bars for a little bit longer. So if council is game for that, if we could support that resolution from two other municipalities out
Right.
there.
Okay.
That's basically just support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll and second by Councillor Abbas that the Township of Montague send a letter to the federal and provincial governments requesting meaningful improvements to the current state of catch and release justice in the Ontario legal system. Police services across Ontario are exhausting precious time and resources, having to manage the repeated arrests of the same offenders, which in turn is impacting morale and ultimately law-abiding citizens who are paying the often significant financial and emotional toll of this broken system, and that this resolution be sent to other municipalities throughout Ontario for their endorsement consideration. All in favor? And that's carried. We have no unfinished business, other business. So before we move on, any questions from our audience? Online? Okay, so moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abbas. That bylaw 4025/2023, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its regular meeting held on Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. Be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed the 7th day of November 2023. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Crabtree. Seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll. The council adjourned the regular meeting of November 7th at 6:37 p.m. until November 21st, 2023 at 6 p.m. or at the call of the chair. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
Ready, coach?
Whenever you are.
Welcome back to our committee of the whole meeting. I'd like to open the meeting with our land acknowledgement. The council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that this sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located and this meeting is being held is the ancestral and city territory of the Algonquin Nishabi Nation. We have the adoption of the agenda, so moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that the committee of the whole agenda dated November 7th, 2023 be approved as presented this date. All in favor? So we have no disclosure of interests, no delegation this time, to the report of the municipal officers. The first one is the chief building, officer of the third quarter building. Everybody has it in front of them. I don't think there's anything that needs to be said really about it. I mean, it's a little bit slower than the previous year as we have seen, and that's pretty well kind of what's going on out there. Does anybody have any comments or points behind that? Most people there, right? So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abbas, that council accept the third quarter building report presented to the state as information. All in favor? Carried. Next one is the hunt closing. For that?
No.
No, okay, curtain away, so right, you can, I'm gonna take that.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So this was brought to council on October 3rd. So the planner has put out communications to the neighbors and the surrounding area. There's been nothing received back as far as any interest from anybody on the small parcel of land. So basically the recommendation is to continue to move forward and bring a bylaw to the next meeting to complete this process for the closure and sale of the parcel.
Pretty straightforward, any questions? Not really, any ones. Good case, moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Reeve Jennings, that council directs staff to bring forth the bylaw to authorize the closure and sale of block 45 on Plan 80. To the November 21st, 2023 council meeting as per the draft bylaw presented at this date. All in favor? We have the wonderful council calendar that Grace has made up. It looks very nice. Don't see any errors or omissions. Anybody see any errors at all that we may have? Grace looks unsure, but that's good. I think we're good. So good job on it, Grace. I think we're on the right. What we have set up. So
I like that.
yeah,
It's a good improvement.
nice, looks good. No questions at all? You're all happy with it? That's good. So moved by Reeve Jennings, and seconded by Councillor Abbas. And council approve the 2024 council calendar as presented. All in favor? Carried.
The only thing I'm gonna request from this chair is that if anybody has interest in the conferences, especially Roma, if you want us to book, if you can just let us know. As soon as possible, really, just so that we can make sure, I know you guys are through
I
counties,
went
so
through the
that's
county, so
different.
yeah, I know I'm going through the county, so it's a.
Yeah, so just to let us know.
Okay.
They already started to book and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They booked the hotel and all that kind of stuff.
They were heading pretty good there.
Yeah, so I know the county, they've secured the block for the, are you going to run through, you're not going to run it, but they've secured the block and everything else, so. You want to do it, then, yeah. I'm looking forward, I've never been to Roma before, I never had a chance to go to Roma, so I'm looking forward to, yeah, I think you've been in the past, eh, and so it's so I think.
It's a big one. It's-
Yeah, I mean, AMO's always been a good education, but Roma, I think is gonna be kind of exciting. There's some other fellow people I know from the county are going to as well, which I think will be a benefit to continue to learn, so which is great.
My last year in, then I'll be able to go.
There we go. Retirement care.
Yep.
The next one, I'm excited to read, because I mean, it's giving us a lot of information, I think is the third quarter MLEO report, with the animal bylaw too as well. I think, do you have something to speak about it before I go on about it, or?
I think I'm just gonna say that so far we find that the contract is working really well. They're very responsive. They were just in here today, speaking with us and dealing with a number of properties. So we have no complaints so far. I believe we only signed on for 1 year to kind of try it. And then so far, as you see the numbers, we are an hourly rate with mileage included. In the 2 quarters that they've been involved, we've had almost a $10,000 savings. So, and we're not seeing a reduction as far as the property standards side anyways, we're not seeing a reduction in service, I don't think, unless council has heard something different. So, yeah, I guess it kind of speaks for itself. They've been busy in our township, but we have no complaints.
Yeah, I've heard that's the same thing. I mean, the professionalism they bring, I think has been very good. And I've heard lots of positive comments about some of the property standards cleanups and everything else. So I think I think it's good. I think they're addressing it the right things the right way. And they've definitely addressed some safety concerns that we've had too as well. And they've been on it. So I think there's been a lot of positive stuff coming out of that. So anybody else have any other thoughts or comments or
No,
same sort of thing, eh? Yeah.
I heard good things, that's all so far.
I've been hearing the property standards one, more than anything, just that they're finding these very attentive and.
Yeah.
Really a willingness to. You know, go out there and get some of the stuff that some people don't wanna deal with. Hitting those negative things that people don't wanna have to handle, right?
Yeah, the majority of the swamp, we want to have that nice township, so it's, I think they're doing a great job, so that's good, it's good to hear. So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, let's accept the third quarter LEO animal control report presented this date as information, all in favor? The last one is garbage. We like it. So I'd say, anyway, with the waste management, I'll let, it looks like Steve's gonna go up, he's gonna give us.
I was gonna say, this is a hybrid here.
It's the joint venture, so like, there's a lot of information, I think staff have done a great job of really making sure that it's well explained as we've gone through this process, but take it away, Steve.
You wanna start, or you want me to start? Okay, I'll
Okay,
start,
take it
I
away,
think,
Alice.
okay, so, as council is aware, we did request, on the action tracking list was an item from the previous council requesting that the current council move to 1 bag per week effective 2025 for waste pickup, curbside pickup. So we did request direction from council, there was a request for us to bring back information and for this council to have that discussion. So that's why we're here this evening. So you will find a substantial amount of information included in this report. We have tried to provide as much information or what we think council would be looking for to make that decision moving forward. So we did move from the 90 tag system to the 2 untagged bags per household per week, and we're still getting people in, like this week, several people looking for their orange tags. So the communication aspect, we put it in every tax bill, we put it everywhere that we can, you know, we've really tried to push that out, but we can't make people read the communications that we send out. So that is a concern moving forward, is any kind of changes without a newspaper as well now is going to really take time to make change to make sure that everybody gets that information. You will note, so we have a table that indicates kind of the average cost per household for waste collection and disposal. So from 2013 to 2023, over that 11-year period, it really hasn't changed much. About $7.02 per household has been the change over that 11-year period, or 64 cents per household per year. So it really is a minimal cost. And the annual cost on the budget has seen about an increase of about $3,400. So we've had a really positive working relationship with GIM. They've done a good job. There hasn't been a large inflation on the services that they've provided. And it's been consistent throughout that time frame. The total cost for disposal at the $113 that we see for 2023 equals about 23 pounds per week per household based on the tonnage that we have in the household counts. So really that equates to like 1 bag on average. So you're gonna have some people that put out multiple bags per week. You're gonna have probably some people that might put out half a bag per week kind of thing. So on average, I just think that it's important to note that this is a weekly service that residents receive, that they see on a weekly basis. And it's currently costing about $141 per household. Our OPP costs are $301 per household, and most people probably never use that service or very rarely use that service. So just keeping in mind that as far as service for dollar, we feel that we're receiving a good service for the amount that we pay. I think this is yours now, Stephen.
Take it away, Steve.
Yeah, so the financials is obviously Ali, and then when we get into the other side of stats is where I dove into it. So as you can see, Ali kind of elaborated on the costing that we're quite consistent. So it was actually quite interesting to see that year after year for the past 10 has been very consistent on the tonnage each year. And like Ali's saying, like our current bylaw permits 33 pounds per bag, which is a ton in a garbage bag if you ever weighed it yourself. But we're actually coming in, the average weekly per household is 10 pounds less than that. So I mean, that's incredible in itself that we are that low. Maybe that means we can lower our current bag limit. I'm not sure on that, but something to think about. And the highs are obviously reflective of COVID. If you look at the table, it's in front of you, 2020, 2021. They're both a bit higher, so that makes sense. People working from home and being home with the pandemic. For myself and Ali, looking through the stats, the concerning part seems to be the recycling side of things. It's been on a steady decline since 2020. And we've heard lots of feedback that the new system in 2020 is difficult to understand. It's pretty straightforward. It's, you know, it's 2 bins, it's plastic, glass, everything other than cardboard, separated. So I struggle with that side of things, that we're decreasing in recycling when it seems to be a very consistent and pretty straightforward system that we have for us. And Tara does do a great job of communicating on what should be sent out in each box. And then the other part that I found pretty interesting was the National Zero Waste Council. So it's just kind of a council that looks at trying to prevent as much waste going to our landfills. They did a study, and it's about 140 kilograms of waste, or 300 pounds of waste that goes to landfills, actually food. So looking at our system right now, it's difficult to really prevent that with where we are such a remote rural area. No landfill ourselves. We have tried to put things in for composting. Obviously not everybody is able to compost where they live, maybe won't allow for it. There's a lot of work that goes along with backyard recycling or composting. I know Ali has put in some systems with the county on food cyclers, different options that we can do there. So we're trying to improve on getting our number down. And then Ali and myself and Grace was in on it as well, went through a SWOT analysis of all of our different options. I'm not going to go through everything on there. It's all can be found in the report, but I mean, like Ali has said, we seem to be at 1 bag per week right now. There is other communities that have went down to 1 bag already. So, I mean, we wouldn't be the first one to go down to 1 bag, but the stats are showing where we are right now. One of the big things is we don't have a landfill, right? So we have to be very cautious on where we go with the direction of waste, because if something was to happen in the contract that we don't have it anymore, we are kind of handcuffed, and we have nowhere to go with our waste. So unfortunately, Montague is kind of governed by waste service providers, and they kind of hold that over us, that really our only option is the curbside collection at this point. Ali may have some more to add. We try to put as much information in there as we can. But there is quite a few different options on the table as well. You want to go through them, Ali, or?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is that, again, bringing up that any kind of change, we need a communication strategy moving forward if there is going to be a recommended, or if council is going to proceed with any kind of change, and we need time to implement that. But again, we did go through the SWOT. And from Grace's perspective, or the admin's perspective at the front, they're the ones that have been receiving the phone calls. They're still having people coming in asking for the tags, dealing with that side of it. So there was good perspective coming from all aspects of the municipality. So the options that we're presenting, and I mean, there's many options, but every option that is presented, we are going to include a continuation of communication in the tax bills on recycling and waste initiatives in conjunction with Circular Materials Ontario, who is now the person who has the contract with Mterra, or the organization. Initiatives with the school, compost waste initiatives with the county. So if they, again, next year provide something, we will come up with some kind of initiative, as well as looking at options to partner with municipalities, entities, neighbors on services. So we always look at those things. So I just want to make it clear that all options will still continue to include those. So option 1 is that council directs staff to begin a communication plan to work towards 1 bag per week that would begin January 1st of 2026, with communication being for the transition immediately. Option 2 would be that they would continue to monitor tonnage, staff would continue to monitor tonnage and bring forward an annual report, but continue to maintain the status quo of the 2 bags per week and not allow further extension of the orange tags beyond January 1st, 2025. So just that we're making it clear that we're gonna continue with 2 bags, but once January 1st, 2025 comes along, those orange tags are no longer in use because that was the previous council that made that as well. So option 3, recommended, that council direct staff to continue to monitor tonnages and bring forward an annual report, but continue to maintain status quo of the 2 bags per week, not allow further extension of the orange tags beyond January 1, 2025, and increase the cost of the silver tags to $6 beginning 2024. And that would be, because we do have a legislated requirement on us to try and divert garbage or waste. So we have to have something that's going to maybe make people, because we do hear that quite often, that people are like, oh, I can't be bothered to recycle. They may choose to be bothered to recycle at that time, to leave space in their bags as far as that goes. Option 4, the council directs staff to complete further investigation into waste management services and cost to increase service prior to decision on the allotted weekly bag allocations. So again, if council wants us to look at costing to do an additional service or an additional pickup of food waste, which would be substantial, hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. We're more than happy to get that pricing and bring that back to council if that's what you're looking for as well. So those are kind of the recommended options that we're putting forward at this time, but if council has something else, then.
Well, thank you, staff, for all of that detail. I think that's important. I think that's there's a lot of information there, which is very handy, and I think there's, I know for like, a couple of things before I come to you, Gerald, just like the recycling side of things, for sure. I mean, it was, when we did that transition, we were one of the last ones that actually did that transition. That transition's been around for a lot of different places, and the reason why we did that transition too as well is at that point, we were saying, either the way that you want, it's gonna cost you $100,000 more. So we went to the 2-stream, and that's, you know, the process of going that. It is interesting about, you know, obviously like the communication side of it. I mean, I think we communicated as best as possible the changes. We've, a few years ago, we didn't have social media, we didn't have that kind of stuff. We tried to put it out there, we have it out there. We still have people asking about the orange tags, so it's a little tricky to continue to change things when that can be very tricky to do. And then I guess my last thing going into that too as well is, yeah, like I think you touched on it with the food recycler and having the composters. We have them available. We have composters that are free to residents if they want to use them. We've only had a few pick up. The contest is ongoing for the food recycler too as well. So we're giving options out there too as well. And I think, yeah, like if the town of Smith Falls ever decided to go with a composting program, we might be able to look at like one of our areas like Anne Arundel, maybe to partner into with that too as well. But right now that's just not feasible. So I think those are all great points. So anyways, on that note, I just want to kind of prelude that a little bit, but Gerald, yeah, you have something to say too.
I think you've done a really good report. I think it's, you're trying to find that means of diverting garbage, making people want to recycle and without kind of really ramming it down their throat. Option 3, I do like the fact that you're still allowing people to have 2 garbage if they would have 2 garbage. Because I don't think there's much of a cost savings of everybody going to a 1 bag, because you'd have to go to every 2 weeks, and I think that we throw everybody's arms up in the air, and that's the only way I think we have any sort of cost savings is if we went to every 2-week pickup, because you'd save the truck, correct? Am I correct in assuming that?
Yeah, exactly. That's the larger cost is associated with.
It's not the garbage itself, it's actually the running of the vehicles,
That's correct.
especially based on what the numbers that you're finding right now.
Sure.
So, I don't really think there's much of a benefit to telling everybody, okay, you can only have 1, and I think this will keep the garbage out of the streets, for the people that do have more than 1 bag. I think it's all a well done report, and I think you guys did well, and I think it's a great idea to increase the cost of tags and try to make people say, hey, if you can't keep it under 2, recycle, figure out a way.
That's a great point. I think the other side goes over still keeping the, that third bag the week after Christmas too as well. It's just as a, you know, we'll try to communicate that as best we can, but I mean, that's that point too as well. So it's there is that third bag at Christmas where it could happen too as well, so. Jim?
I have to go on sort of follow with what Gerald said here, because if we're not necessarily using 2 bags every place, like I know myself, lots of times it's 1, sometimes it'll be a week, I do need the 2. But at least if you got the option there, and we're not at the moment going overboard with it, I don't see any reason to change at the moment, but annually take a look at it again.
I think it's a good point too, because it's an average too, right? So I mean, like, there's, you know, that family of 5 that we have, and those families that we want to encourage, they may have a little bit more, but I mean, I have neighbors that are, you know, like just a couple by themselves, and they sometimes don't put out a garbage bag, 1 week, and the next week they put out 1, and that's just what they use,
I'm
right?
away for 2 weeks and they'll be done for it, so like,
So there's examples like that for sure, exactly right. You know, we don't want also, they say like a little bit larger households that may have a few extra people in them. It's like, that's where that average sort of, it weighs its way out to as well. And I mean, I know Steve kind of alluded to it as well, like 35, if I'd like to know who puts in a 35-pound bag of garbage, because I put a heavy one, so I'm like, damn, this is heavy, and it's like maybe 20 some pounds, like it's over 20 pounds, but that's the other thing too as well. Sometimes I put in 2 bags, those 2 bags combined is still under the 1 bag weight limit, so I think that's another portion of it too as well. So it's like, and I think our guys that when they're picking it up, they're recognizing that too as well, right? Like if there's, I almost want to say there's 3 small bags in one of the big garbage cans,
That's 1 bag.
that's 1 bag.
Yeah.
Right, like, and so like, that's, you know, it's hard to communicate all that to people, and like we're still having that, and that's a big fear of trying to change it, anything else again to this, and try to communicate that out. We're 2 years out from the orange tags, or 2 years, and we haven't, you know, like you couldn't get orange tags last year. So like, if people are still coming and asking for it, it's kind of crazy, so. No. Karen has nothing.
I think just to speak about the orange tags, the recommendation that, again, it was the previous council that we're saying that you don't extend the orange tags beyond January 2025. I think that it might be a potentially different feeling from staff on that one if the orange tags were only administered to people who had households, but it was administered to every property owner. So you didn't have a house and you were getting household garbage tags, right? So that was an error. Largely an error, so that you had these individuals who may live somewhere else bringing their household garbage from other places on a vacant lot, right? Like household tags were for household garbage. If you don't have a house or any building, how do you have household garbage? So I think that's kind of the thing on that, is that we want to make sure that that's cleaned up and dealt with, and it was substantial time that people have been given to use those. And to be honest, if they have that many left, I don't know why they're concerned about 2 bags per week.
That's a big part of it as well, and garbage is a budgeted yearly basis. This is like, so like, it's tricky, I think, too, as well, like when you have the overturns, like if everybody were to now, everybody that had the orange tags left over, use their tags to actually get rid of all of that extra garbage, we'd have a $500,000 bill.
We have a deficit, yeah.
Like, it would be huge, so I mean, like, we have to recognize that, like, yes, the orange tags were there, but they're supposed to be there for every year, but you could always, like, go over a year. I know some municipalities out there have a different color tag for every year. So like, this year is orange, the next year, and they would have changed it every year. We never did that, right? So it's we made it easy, but I think we just made it easier now. So yeah, and I think option 3 is the right option as far as that's $6 bag. That's the same ones we use for the large pickup too as well. Does that change the amount of tags we need for large pickup?
Yeah.
easier.
It'll be 1 tag then for the
One tag as multiples, right? So that makes it, that simplifies that process too as well. So I think overall it simplifies things. And as we hopefully, you know, by 2030, the communication will be to everybody. And it'll work out, but I think it's working right now. So I think this is good. And hopefully we don't have to talk about garbage for the rest of this council. So any other good discussion or points or no? Perfect. So that's moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abbas, that council direct staff to proceed with option 3 as presented at November 7, 2023 committee of the whole meeting. And the council direct staff to continue communication, tax bills, recycling, waste initiatives in conjunction with Circular Materials Ontario initiatives with the schools, compost waste initiatives with the county, etc. And further, the council directs staff to continue to look at options to partner with the municipal entities and neighbors on services. About the school, like we want to work with the school for initiatives and everything else, but they actually pay their own, right? They don't, everything is considered a commercial side of it too.
Yeah,
as well.
it's more the education side to the kids at that age.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part. It'd be neat to see what we can do to help incentivize the schools a little bit too as well, because the schools, and when kids go home and say to your, you know, the parents, like, I know for myself too as well, like, when I make a mistake and not put something in the recycle bin, and my kid says, Daddy, that's recyclable. Yes, you're right, son, and I put it there, you know what I mean? So I think it's a good thing when you have that education in the schools that do it all. Anyways, sorry.
So one of the food cycler contests is just for the school. We have a couple, so that we're gonna try and incorporate that into the school. So one of the teachers is pretty excited about it because they also want to start like a community garden at the school or like that type of thing. So they're gonna teach them literally from seed to finish, right? And how that then reproduces to assist in your growing. So it's great. It's great that we have a school that's very involved in those type of things as well. So it's exciting for everybody from that perspective.
There's the class that started, I've been watching them.
Yeah.
So it's great.
The conversation of garbage is still continuing. But at least in the community, that's also trying to make some of those changes now that after we've implemented this stuff, and it's good to hear that, you know, we're obviously using those things from from like the county grant and everything else to do that, so that's great. So I read that, so all in favor? And that's good. Thought that was gonna be a little longer than we hoped, but no reports to the committees, no petitions, no motions, and notice of motions, any unfinished business anybody wants to say? And before I adjourn, any burning questions from the audience? Anybody at all? All right, Tom?
When you're talking about garbage, now I know. For me to bring it up, staff has probably already covered it, but it wasn't mentioned. But when somebody comes in to buy extra garbage tags, at that point, you should be giving them information on recycling. And give them a package of what it's costing the township, you know, like, give them personal information. Because you're trying to get it out to the public, you're not getting it to it. The people that come in to buy the extra tags are the ones that are probably not recycling. So you give them the information, this is what you recycle, cuts down your cost of buying garbage tags. So if you handed them something when they buy a tag, you might be getting the information to more of the people that need the proper information but aren't getting it at the present time.
I think that's good. That's great. A great suggestion, because we can also hand them a free composter. But yeah, no, I think that's a great point, Tom, to say, hey, listen, by using extra garbages, or, you know, make sure you understand the recycling program, there could be an education piece there too as well. So that's a good point. I'm sure staff will.
So, Chair through, so we did put in a whole recycling / waste insert into the tax bill that was specifically for that. So when someone comes in and they are looking for tags or looking for their orange tags, the front makes sure to advise them of that and provide them a pamphlet. Because normally they say, oh, I didn't see it. So that's usually the response. I'm assuming, I'm gonna say, based on the number of people that come into this office, that 5% of people look at what's in their tax bill and the other 95% of people do not. Just based on the numbers that we get in here. So I think that the better that we can make the communications and that it's different in the tax bill, people might start looking for it. But yes, we can have like a single sheet that we can hand to everyone who's buying multiple additional garbage tags to try and really push that recycling avenue. Or maybe the waste initiative next year with the county is that we provide free additional recycling bins to people. If they come in looking for garbage tags, you can give them a free recycling bin.
I think it's really, getting the communication is a tricky part. I mean, like, it's like you say about the, you know, we said it in the tax bill, but I think in our last tax bill cycle, I saw that we had 419 people that missed their October 31st tax installment. So I mean, that's a pretty significant chunk that missed, and some people come in after, you know, after they recognize or we let them know and everything else, but it's like, I mean, that information was sent out. We have it on our social media. Hey, it's tax day. I know it was splashed out there. So I mean, I think we're doing what we can as far as communicating out that information as best as possible, so, and if we have any other suggestions of how we can communicate it more, I mean, I'm sure staff would love to hear it, because I think we have our social media out there. I mean, that last insert that we had in our tax bill was, I came in and I said that to Grace. I said, this is what I've been looking for since I've been on council. It's clear, it's concise, it has all the information needed. I just hope people read, you know, when you're sitting on the throne, maybe having a quick read, like that's a good, like, I mean, like I said, just read it. It gives a
Garbage and shit.
it gives all the information, so. Anyways,
But I think a one-page pamphlet, yes, is a great idea that will sneak in there with the tags.
I don't think anybody's gonna notice the increase. In
I mean, you
price.
didn't have that already, Ally?
Oh, I didn't.
I'm surprised, I thought, I'm bringing up and Ally's gonna say, yeah, we already do that.
No, Tom, you gave us.
I can't believe I got ahead of Ally once.
we're gonna write that one down.
Jeff, I got something I want to say.
Yes, for sure, yeah.
This is something different here, but I just wanted to congratulate Reeve Jennings and in that being on two other councils, the first time I seen her vote on everything that goes around. The other two councils we were on, the only time the Reeve would vote on an issue was when they needed that deciding vote, and I watched here and Councillor Reeve Jennings has done it every time it's been going on, so I'm really impressed with this, seeing somebody vote and not sitting in the background. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. I mean, I recognize that it is for me to break a tie, but at the same time, I think it's important that the residents know where I stand on things as well, which is why I do keep my hand up, so, but thank you.
I just think that's great. Yeah, thanks.
Great, that's good.
Thanks.
Thank you for the information. So moved by, Councillor Bass and seconded by Reeve Jennings, so the committee of the whole meeting for September 7th, 2023 now be adjourned at 7:11 PM. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, everyone.
So not to jinx everybody, I dug my snow brush out